Hello. So a question I get all the time is, why would I sell my house to a real estate investor when I can just list it? And that's a great question. It really is. Because if you're not in a situation where you need to sell to an investor, you should not sell to an investor and you should list it. Obviously, I'd love for you to list it with me. But let's talk about the situations where someone would not want to list it. Right? We'll talk about the end why you might, if you are not in any of these situations, why you might want to list with me. But first, let's talk about why people sell to a real estate investor. Right? I do both. Right? I'm a real estate investor, and I am also a traditional realtor. So number one, the number one reason people will sell to a real estate investor is that the house is in poor condition, and they feel that a lot of repairs are necessary, and they don't want to make those repairs, right? So either the situation is that the property is unmortgageable, so there's roof damage or unworking bathrooms, unworking kitchen, and they feel like whoever buys it is not going to be able to get a mortgage. That's one possibility. Most possibilities is just the property is so old that what happens inevitably is when an inspector comes in, I've seen inspectors walk into houses and walk out. Well, sorry, my microphone wasn't close. And literally walk out and say, I'm not even getting involved in this because there's too many things that can be showing up and I'm not breaking down walls to figure it out. So what has happened in many situations where a property is really old is that a person will come and they'll offer a decent price, and they'll send an inspector in, and the inspector will say, listen, there could be $50,000 worth of stuff that I don't even know about. And then they'll ask you for a price reduction. That happens a lot. More than you think on very old and dated houses. So, and you'll see, if you look at the MLS, you'll see properties that go into contract at property X and then they close much less, and that's almost always due to an inspection problem. So that's one reason that you might want to sell. Another reason you don't want to sell is even if the property is not in such bad condition, you don't want to deal with that kind of bullshit. You don't want to deal with what I just said. Because even on a great house, and I've completely renovated houses and had an inspector come and tell me that they want a $10,000 reduction on the price. I just had that happen to me. And it was ridiculous. And they said that the roof was problematic. The roof was just replaced and was in perfect condition. So people don't want to deal with that. They also don't want to deal with a million people walking in their house and getting calls from realtors saying, hey, could somebody just come now? It's only 10:45 p.m. Or, hey, I know we had an open house today, but someone missed it and can they come back? Some people don't want to deal with that kind of annoyance and inconvenience. Another thing people might want to sell to an investor, or another reason why people might want to sell to an investor as opposed to just listing it, is that they have a specific time constraint. So that could be that they need to close fast. And I can tell you that today, if you're listing your house, you need to think about 3 to 4 months of time between when you list it and when it sells. And everybody says, oh, everything doesn't stay on the market for 10 minutes. Even if you're in the hottest market and you find a buyer the next day, it's probably going to take 2 to 4 weeks to get into contract as the attorneys work out all the stupid details. And then it takes the average person 2 to 3 months to get a mortgage. That is the average. I've had deals close sooner, but I've had deals that took 9 months, right? With nobody doing anything wrong. So if you are not able to be on a buyer's timeline because you need to close quickly, or you need to close, you just don't know when you want to close, right? You're looking for a place to go, or maybe you're building a house and you don't know when it's going to be finished. Maybe you're moving, you don't know where to go. It could be a million reasons where you need more time. An investor is a good option. Now, obviously, there's always a give and take. If you sell to an investor, you're going to make less money. Now, the question, of course, is how much. And I did another video on that, and it's a very hard question to answer. But you're trading some of the proceeds from your sale for the certainty and convenience that an investor provides. So investors should come to you, and after you go to contract, should not change the price, right? The price is the price. It's not going to change. Very often you go to contract with a regular buyer, and then they want prices to change. They come back to you with problems like that. So if you are not under a time constraint and your property is in good condition, you probably shouldn't sell to an investor. If you can wait the 3 or 4 months it's going to take, you should list it. You'll get the most money most of the time when you list it. But there are plenty of situations, and historically, on average, 10%, really 1 out of 10 houses are going to sell to an investor and not get listed on the MLS, on the multiple listing service. Most will, 90% will, and 10% won't. And it's for the reasons I discussed before. So that is why you might want to sell to an investor. And again, I have told hundreds, if not 1,000 people, I've gone into their house. They said, we want to sell to an investor. We want a cash offer. We don't want to list it. And I said, listen, you got to be out of your mind. you're going to leave a lot of money on the table if you sell to an investor. This house is in good condition. You're not in a rush. You don't have a problem with time. Why don't you just let me list it? And I'll tell you why you might want to use RPB Realty for listing. Why you might want to list with me. So the truth is, one second. I never wanted to be a realtor. I don't know who that guy is. I was always a house flipper, right? But after a while, I had to list my properties after the work was done with somebody. And I got sick of paying people to do that. And I wanted to be in control of the listing. So I became a realtor. And inevitably, I met people, like I just discussed before, where I went into their house. They wanted to sell to an investor. I'm like, you should not sell this to an investor. You should let me list it for you. So when I list, I am really by far the least expensive realtor that's out there. Okay, I charge a maximum of 3.5%, and if the buyer doesn't have his own agent, I'll charge as little as 2 to 2.5%. So I'm the least expensive agent. I'm also the quickest agent. I'll take a listing for as short as 60 or 90 days because I have it in contract by then. What most realtors out there do, right? First of all, they charge 6%, and get them down to 5%. Maybe you can negotiate 4%. No one's going as low as I am. But they also are going to ask you to list for a year. And if you push them, maybe they'll let you list for 6 months. Because basically they know how to list properties. I know how to sell properties, right? I sell my own properties for top dollar, and I sell your property for top dollar. So I'll have it in contract within 60 days. And if you aren't happy with me, in 60 days you can go call up Douglas Elliman or Keller Williams or Century 21, whoever else you want. Now, another reason why I'm better is because I know how to sell properties, and I spend money on things that other agents never even dreamed of. So I'll pay for professional photography if we need it. I will pay for Facebook ads to drive people to come to the open houses and come see it. These are things that I do for my own houses, right? Because I have to sell my own houses for top dollar. Sorry. I am going to sell your house for top dollar too. So I think I'm the least expensive, the quickest, and the best agent that exists out there in my own, at the risk of being immodest. But again, if you have any of those reasons that we discussed before, where you have a time problem, you can't be on a buyer's timeline, you have a condition problem, the property is probably not going to get a mortgage, or you're concerned that people are going to come back and ask you to make repairs, or are going to ask you to adjust the price, then I would say an investor is a good option for you. Just know that you're not squeezing every dollar out of the property, right? I ask people that all the time. I am looking for, I tell people all the time, if you're looking to squeeze every dollar out of the property, you want to list it. That'll get you the most money, right? That shows it to the most people, and that'll get you the most money. If you have other issues, other needs, I'm happy to fulfill those needs by buying the property from you directly. But that's the way it works. So in general, I hope this was helpful. If you're interested in finding out more about my services, you can call me in the office. It's 516-209-2010. And if you have any questions, you need any help on selling your house in any way, there's no pressure. I'm not going to push you to sell your house to me or list with me. I'm here as a resource for you. I'm here to help you in any way that I can. Call me at that number. Again, it's 516-209-2010, and I'm happy to help you in any way that I can.